In this week's video, we take a look at some really awesome watches that came through our doors. In the first part of this video, we sit down with a local dealer friend of mine named Mathew, who brought over a pretty basic gold Submariner, but the provenance on the watch wasn't so basic, and it was a really cool mystery that we unpacked together. Let's take a look.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, good timing, as I'm leaving tomorrow for a Rolex event. What do we got today?
I got that GMT I was telling you about.
So yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this too. This is interesting. So we have, it's a 16718, right?
Yeah.
16718 Sapphire GMT. Nothing crazy rare, although the condition's like really, really nice on this watch from the pictures at least. Let's see it in person. Got it all wrapped up. Yeah. Unpolished case, sticker on the back. Really nice watch. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part, something I've never seen before, and it is the papers. So the papers on this watch, we have an N serial, was it circa 93?
Yep.
That's saying it was sold by Patek Philippe. So my thought process is, most likely scenario, curious to see if you agree or not, is that Patek Philippe was doing somebody a favor, like at cost. And so they got the watch from a Rolex AD, maybe it was in a boutique that had also a Rolex dealership, and they sold the watch to a client or to an employee at cost. But like through their inventory system.
Patek Philippe would have been retailed by Tiffany in New York.
Right, they're American papers.
Right, but then wouldn't they just say Tiffany?
Maybe it wasn't a Tiffany branded watch, and maybe it wasn't run through Tiffany & Co. Because the papers are clearly original. You know, this would be too dumb to fake. You know, first of all, the printing's perfect. The stamp of the retailer here and here. Why would somebody fake that?
And
like it doesn't.
It's dated on the back as well.
Yeah,
It's got the distributor date.
yeah. It doesn't make any sense for this to not be correct. It's something interesting. I don't think it adds like a crazy amount of value to the watch or devalue or anything like that. It's just interesting.
I'm just trying to think like which retailer would be called Patek Philippe. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no like Patek Philippe boutique at that time, or unless it's New York, there was no other Patek Philippe boutique.
Yeah, so it could have run through the Patek boutique, Tiffany & Co. in New York. And I mean, they're New York papers and everything too.
I'm sure like the way they did things back then too, it was a little different than it is today, because this is 1991, I think.
Right.
And is 91, and that's 32 years ago.
Anyways,
And
early 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
and I think it's 91.
Okay, so
Yeah.
91. Yeah, the quality control and like the way they did things was very different. It wasn't like the craziness of today, with all the hype and all the people flocking to get watches.
Could it have been somebody also that was an AD, and they just put that on the papers? They were an AD for both brands.
Yeah, but in order for that, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is that like they were an AD for both brands, but in order for them to get like some discount for somebody and sell it at cost, they had to put themselves as the retailer.
So
because they sold the
Employee
watch.
watch or VIP watch.
Employer VIP, exactly. They were doing a favor for somebody to get the watch.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen it either. I think it's super cool.
I haven't seen it either.
And Patek Philippe is spelled correctly.
Right.
So,
2 P's, 1 L.
so that's already a good sign.
I remember when I first put up my very first site, the developer put 2 L's and 1 P, and I'm like, no, change that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very cool.
That's the first thing I look at, like to see if Patek Philippe is spelled correctly to make sure that like.
Yeah, I mean, these papers were not made up. This clearly is with the watch, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's super cool.
All right. Well, the next question has hang tag and everything. Next question is
what it's worth.
how much you want for the watch. We'll talk about that later. I just wanted to see these papers in person. I think something super cool, super interesting. I've never seen this before. I don't think anybody's probably seen this
You
before.
can always just put it to the net also and just be like, hey, anybody ever seen this?
What do you guys think? You know?
Yeah, because I put up like a Speedmaster recently with like a little number on the back and was talking about like, it came out of Venezuela. It's the second time I've seen this. And like I got like a flurry of people sending me their watches, like also Venezuela, also the same number.
Right. Well,
So,
when he
like-
showed me this watch yesterday via text, I called Eric Koo, and I figured if anybody would know, it'd be Koo.
Yeah.
And we kind of had the same thoughts. Not sure, but that's probably what it was, you know?
Yeah, but
you
I'm
know,
just saying maybe somebody else has seen this
right.
same exact thing and maybe knows a little bit more about
Yeah,
this.
no, for sure. We'll absolutely put it out to Instagram and see if anybody knows.
I think that's always helpful.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for taking a look with me. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, of course.
Later on the week, we got to sit down with some friends of ours from out of town who came in to show us some awesome watches that they had with them. and hopefully try to strike a deal. Let's take a look. We are here this fine Wednesday afternoon in our office, sitting down with a couple of friends of mine who stopped by to show us some watches. We have JT of J Coronet, and we have Marco of Tillier Time out of Montreal, Canada. They are awesome vintage watch dealers. They do modern stuff as well, but like really helping push the vintage forefront of watch dealing. Doing great. They brought a few watches they wanted to take a look at. What do we have here today? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First of all, it's an awesome watch. What are you wearing today, JT? Let's take a look.
14790 ST.
Yeah, but this is not just an ordinary 14790 ST. It has aged to like a beautiful caramel brown dial. I don't think I've ever seen one age so nicely. Really nice watch. Really beautiful. Is this for sale or a personal watch?
It's for sale.
All right. Well, as always, we will link his information in the description below. So if you're interested in the watch, if he still has it, by the time this video comes out, you can hit him up. All right. So I guess let's start from closest moving down. What'd you bring for us today? My good friend, what'd you bring?
5508.
Okay.
We picked up from the original owner back in Canada. Untouched, unpolished, great condition.
Box papers?
Yeah, box papers. I was going to mention it. The booklets in there are pretty.
Oh, this is like the old box too.
Sure.
Look at that. Original
crystal.
Tropic 16 crystal. But you kept the original one? Nice. So the original one's like super crazed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Scratched.
Hey, you've been coming up with a lot of really cool finds out of Canada, like original owners and stuff like that. There's still, I guess because Canada is so big, there's still such an untapped amount of watches out of there.
Plenty, not a lot of dealers as well from Canada.
Right.
Fair share, but still. So, yeah, we do come up quite often with nice finds.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other like vintage specialists out of Canada.
Tough. There's a few guys, I would say, mostly in Toronto.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in Toronto.
Okay.
You guys are the only ones I know in Montreal. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So we have booklets, Rolex Skin Diver Handbook. That's cool. You never see this.
Look in there. You can learn how to dive.
It's circa 1961. Has 1961 on the brochure. Oh wow, we got to get a video of this. This I don't think I've ever opened and saw this. So it has a Navy standard decompression table. Wanted to decompress your air so you don't die underwater. But the coolest part is all these, the thumb signs that it teaches you with a drawing of each one, hand signal dictionary.
They wanted to make sure that you were going to use the watch.
Yeah, 100%. These were tool watches. And I've always been too scared to go scuba diving because I feel like my head's going to explode underwater. Have you ever gone scuba diving?
Water guy. No.
You gone scuba diving? No? All right, one day. All right, let's take a look at the actual watch. A really nice case, unpolished, looks worn, heavily worn, but unpolished. Beautiful dial, beautiful loom. So this is circa 61, 62.
62, correct, sir?
Exclamation mark.
For the exactly for the transition.
Right, so these dials have what we call an exclamation mark, where right under the 6 o'clock marker, there's like a little extra loom dot. And the prevailing theory is that Rolex used this to signify that it was a transition from radium to tritium, because this is right around the time when they stopped using radium in their watches and transitioned into tritium. They didn't recall any of these watches like they did the GMT 6542, where they literally just recalled the watches and said, we need to put a new bezel and a new dial in it. It's way too radioactive. This, they just, I guess, put indications on the dial to let the buyers know that they were no longer filled with radium. We have really nice case back, 64 N-Link 7206 bracelet, dated to 1960, third quarter. Yeah, this is a really nice watch, all original. Whoever bought it used it, but not like didn't use it, but didn't abuse it. You know, sick watch. Okay, what's next?
We have a 2446C cured, not the ordinary one.
Let's take a look.
Let you look at the bottom subdial.
Ah, so we have a Hoyer Octavia, like Marco said, reference 2446C, C4 compression case, co-signed by Abercrombie & Fitch. So this was a watch that was retailed, just like we see Tiffany & Co. sign watches, Cartier sign watches. This one signed Abercrombie & Fitch because they had a collaboration partnership, whatever you want to say, with Hoyer back in the day, in the 60s, throughout the 70s as well, to sell their watches.
It started in the 40s where Ed.
Yeah, you're actually right.
Exactly, and then
Because
twice a year they would visit the Hoyer factory to see what new watches would be interesting to print on, and then
you're absolutely right. Because in the 50s also, they made watches that were just signed Abercrombie, made by Hoyer for retail in their stores. And I think we've talked about it before, but this was during a time when Abercrombie was actually a cool store. It wasn't the It's true. I mean, it wasn't these like kitschy, weird clothing that you see now. It was like actual dive equipment, sports equipment, hiking equipment, real stuff that you could use. And so they sold real tool watches. Even Blancpain 50 Fathoms were sold in Abercrombie, the demo mil spec and stuff like that. So super cool watch. Condition pretty nice. Sharp case. You can still see the original bevels on the side. Feels sharp underneath too. So I would have to go on a limb and say this guy's unpolished. Yeah, for sure unpolished. Really nice watch. Couple light marks on the registers, which is very common on these, but the lume is great. Nice yellow color. Looks to be all original. Super nice watch. I'm definitely interested in this one. Well, interested in both so far, but let's go through them all. And last but not least, I only see the back of it. I can see it's a Royal Oak.
The 25654 BA, so perpetual calendar, C series.
I've been saying it's funny because I had one of these watches, this exact variant, 25654 champagne dial,
Right.
on consignment to us. This has to be 6 or 7 years ago. The owner wanted to net $40,000, and I was like,
Different market today.
it's too much. And I said to him, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
And I was offering out to everybody at 45. I couldn't even get an offer, like give me 41, and I had to return it to him. And I said, listen, it's crazy that you could get a solid gold Royal Oak jumbo size 39 millimeter with a perpetual calendar for under $100,000. I mean, at the time it was under $50,000. And I guess it took a while, but the market finally caught up and realized how underappreciated they were. I mean, now you have everybody wearing them, guys like Jay-Z, who has a big collection of them, so I think finally people woke up, and the prices on these have come down quite a bit. What are you asking for this watch?
We're at the $90,000 mark.
Yeah, I mean, this watch would have been $125, $130 a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Be close to 150 even, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is a early iteration MK1 dial with the small Audemars Piguet font, non-leap year, which I think collectors appreciate more because there's less clutter on the dial. It's a simpler watch, earlier one. And these watches are actually really, truly rare. Like these watches, they made in very limited quantity.
Which number on this is what, roughly 400 pieces in the yellow gold version?
Right. No, I think it's 400 total. And then
22 in the yellow gold is what I was reading.
okay. Yeah, Hodinkee put out a good article with all the production numbers actually. But like each reference, there was less than 1,000 pieces across all metals, some of them even less than 200 pieces, depending on the reference number. And then it just depends on whether it was yellow gold, steel, platinum, whatever. But truly like limited production. It wasn't a limited edition, but they were limited production, although some were limited edition, like one of 25 or whatever. This, I don't think they had a cap. It was just however many they made. But yeah, it's just crazy that I think this, even at the 90K price point, is like such a bargain for what you're getting, Like especially when you compare it to like a new Royal Oak that sells for double, triple retail or whatever, that's well over 100 grand, in solid gold. All right, cool. So I think these are the watches you brought. Let's move on to JT. So I see two watches here in front of us. I only see the sub. I can only see the back of that watch. I truly have not seen these watches. So let's start with the one that's closest to you. What is it?
It's a 3800/3J.
Oh,
Philippe.
wow.
Nautilus.
So it's a rare one.
Decently rare. Factory bezel, factory diamond champagne dial.
So the /3 designates the bezel and dial being
Correct.
factory diamonds. You have an extract for this confirming it all?
I do.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, these are kind of interesting watches just because you see so many 3800s, like just regular bezel, gold, steel, whatever. You very rarely see them diamond set. And what I like about them, because they did make them also with factory bracelet diamond set, and for me that goes too far.
Yeah, it's a
This is like the perfect, like subtle bling, or it's not like iced out, but it's like classy and well done. Like the Davidoff brothers, who you guys know, Sasha.
Yeah.
We bought together a Vacheron 222 circa 1978 with factory diamond bezel and the bracelet, but the diamonds on the bracelet only go like half the way through.
Yeah.
And they told him it was because they didn't want the diamonds to get caught like in a shirt collar all the way on the bottom, which makes sense.
Sure.
But it's a beautiful watch and everybody was like freaking out about it when we were all together over the past weekend, but it's a little too much for me. Like I couldn't wear it. He ended up keeping that watch. Great. And he loves it and wears it all the time. But yeah, really cool watch. What is I don't think I've ever sold one of these. What's the premium attached to this versus just regular gold?
It's kind of polarizing. I think, to be honest, it's easier to sell a solid gold than it
Sure.
is this one. And so
Right.
typically you see them land around the same price.
Oh.
Honestly.
Dude, that's crazy.
This is the second one I've ever sold based off that transaction.
I think that's crazy. I feel like this should absolutely be a premium.
Yeah.
But I understand that it's also a much more niche proposition because you're looking for somebody who wants the diamonds.
Sure.
But the fact that it was factory done by Patek, not done after, I can't understand why this isn't a premium over. So if somebody's looking for a true bargain, hit JT up. I mean, we have 3 3800s in stock in gold right now, 2 or 3. So, or else I would be trying to buy this from you. But that's crazy. I always thought that I'd never had one, so I figured they would have for sure sold for a premium. That's great. What about this guy? This is
just your standard 14060 no date Submariner
right
E series. So
with paperwork. I see.
with paperwork, with box, booklets, anchor, the whole
Sticker on the back.
sticker on the back.
Wow, yeah, solid watch. Again, these are like the perfect watches for somebody who's trying to get into a vintage, neo-vintage Submariner, sports Rolex without breaking the bank. Because this is what, a little under 10 grand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong. You can't get a new watch for that. You can't get any new Submariner under 10 grand. It just doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah, this is really nice. A watch I love having for stock too, because there's always people looking for these watches. These clean, no date, sapphire, simple watches that are just, perfect everyday watches. Yeah. All right, well, awesome. Guys, appreciate you bringing these by. I know you're not in town often, so thanks for stopping by.
Once every
Once every few months. So we'll do this again next time because you always bring interesting watches. You guys are always coming up with cool stuff, and I appreciate your attention to detail and like looking for different stuff, not just your basic, let's sell every goddamn Royal Oak and Nautilus under the sun. At least when you do bring them, they're different ones. They're but they're different. It's not like just a regular 16202, 15202, whatever. They're interesting pieces. You guys are always, you're like me, you're always hunting for something that not everybody's looking at, not everybody's thinking about, not just what will sell. And I appreciate that about you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, Adam.
Peace. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. We always have an influx of awesome watches coming through the doors, and it's always great to be able to show you some of them on camera. We thank Marco and JT for sitting down with us. Like I said before, we will link their information in the description below in case you want to contact them directly and hopefully buy some of the watches if they're still available. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you can do to help us grow the channel. And remember, it is still not too late, although we're almost there at our 10,000 subscriber goal. But before we hit it, there is still time to enter our giveaway of the vintage Rolex Datejust. We will link the information below as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.